You look at Orlando Castile and Alton Sterling back then, it continues on, and players are using this platform. We saw on Kennedy Carter's shoes during pregame, talking about, speaking change into existence. Izzy Harrison starting the I Am campaign to just giving people a voice for perhaps some of the injustices they may have faced along their life.
Well, I think Kathy Engelbert has always said, as the commissioner, I've heard her in her messaging talk about this being a players' league, and she wanted to make sure that these were player-led initiatives, and this is what the players want to talk about. They want, as they formed the Social Justice Council, which I think is just absolutely brilliant, to bring conversation about race and social justice and voting and gun control and LGBTQ plus rights, all of it to the forefront so that it's part of our conversation so we can help make a change.
It's 13. You're 13. You usually don't say colors. You usually don't say colors.
Benijah Laney knocks down the first of 2 free throws. Laney in her 5th season out of Rutgers, a free agent signee. Spent some time with Indiana and Connecticut for being drafted by the Sky. Good look at Ty Harris, number 52, handling the ball right now for Dallas, one of those top 7 draft picks in the first round for Dallas, and knocking it down is her college teammate, Alicia Gray.
What a great find in the corner, and Alicia Gray coming off the bench right now by her request to Brian Agler that she wanted to be able to see the game from the bench before she came in. She thought that might be a role that she could really help her team with. And of course, Ty Harris, you watched her in her 4-year career at South Carolina for Dawn Staley. I mean, what an incredible leader, what great vision, what size on the top of the floor. And while she's a pass first point guard, she also can score.
She has talked about just the tutelage that she received from Dawn Staley, and even though we talk about Kennedy Carter and Satu Sabli, I think that Ty Harris can have a tremendous impact on this league for years to come. Just a really solid point guard and gets it done, doesn't do a lot of talking, but makes it happen, as Kennedy Carter cleaning up a little from, or excuse me, Monique Billings cleaning it up a little bit from Kennedy Carter. Back the other way, and Ty Harris, nothing but the bottom of the net.
See, that's the confidence that we're talking about, right? I mean, she comes down the floor, pushes in transition. Atlanta slow to match up, and she's wide open.
Billings, a player that Nikki Collins said she wanted to see expand her game with the opportunity to start this season. Carter just heaves it up with the shot clock winding down. And the 24-second shot clock violation. Good look there at Brian Agler, 2nd season with the Wings. And with this infusion of talent, how he'll be able to mold such a young group.
Well, you know, Tiffany, he certainly knows what it looks like to build a championship, right? I mean, 2010, he won the WNBA title in Seattle, 2016 in LA, and he's got 2 championships in the ABL with the Columbus Quest before the WNBA.
That one banked in. This one is a good game, just 3 points separating Atlanta from Dallas as Abubawale knocks down the 3. Carter puts up the shot with the defender in her face, but that's what she can do.
You know what, Tiffany, until Courtney Williams gets there and until they have someone else that can manage the point responsibilities and get Kennedy off the ball, she's going to have to handle the ball a lot, but running her off screens is something she's capable of scoring off of as well.
So is Katie Lou Samuelson. When she gets her feet set, she is dangerous from anywhere on the court.
So with this lineup on the floor for Brian Agler, Katie Lou is actually playing the 4th position. So she has a little bit of an advantage on the offensive end and hopefully can use her size and length on the defensive end to guard fours.
Love the answer on the other end from Shakina Strickland. 24-21. As Gray draws the foul, Jalen Agnew, the rookie for Atlanta, is whistled for the personal foul.
Katie Lou Samuelson last year in Chicago was hurt, had a fractured hand, didn't get to play a full season. And this is a big move for her to be in Dallas because I think she's going to thrive inside Brian Agler's system. And, you know, because she's so good at spotting up, she can make corner threes. She can hit trail threes when she's playing the 4 position. I think the open offense is going to allow her to really be a contributor offensively for Dallas.
You know, one of the things Coach Agler said about Samuelson was the fact that, yes, she knows how to get her shot, but she's also doing a better job of reading the defense, understanding how people want to be physical with her and chase her off of screens. But so far, she's looked sharp in the early going here for Brian Agler and the Dallas Wings.
And you know, Tiffany, that's why when you put her at the 4, and you think about 4s having to chase her off of all that screening action or having to find her in transition, it's actually a good coaching move to put her there and give her a chance to gain some confidence in the early part of the season.
Trying to push the pace, stolen by Gray, up ahead, can't finish, but she'll go to the line for 2.
See, and that's why without Kennedy Carter having the ball in her hands the whole time and not having anyone else yet to develop handling the ball on the top of the floor, Dietrich just gets it picked from her. And Alicia Gray, rookie of the year in the WNBA, coming off the bench this year, is certainly a big boost and a spark for Brian Agler.
She racked up those honors in 2017, coincidentally the same year that she and Ty Harris shared a national championship run with the South Carolina Gamecocks, bringing home a title to Columbia, South Carolina. And with that free throw made, ties the ball game at 24-all, just under a minute to go in the first quarter from Bradenton, Florida.
Bella Allery now on Kennedy Carter on a switch. Now you get the switch back on that ball screen. Good communication defensively by Dallas.
Alexis Jones, one of the new faces, tries to heave it up. Shot clock violation for the Dream. Jones, who played for Kim Mulkey at Baylor, drafted by Minnesota back in 2017, won a championship with the Lynx that year. And in this brief stoppage, Debbie, as we're rounding out the first quarter, your initial impressions from both teams?
Well, I think both teams are starting to get into a little bit better rhythm, right? I thought it was a little bit quick shots inside the early part of the shot clock and turnovers. But, you know, there's a lot of excitement about playing in the WNBA, and there's a lot of new faces and new teams and a lot of rookies on the floor. So, you know, you're trying to do what the coaches asked you. You only had 2 weeks of training camp. So it's a unique situation, of course. But both of them look like they're much improved from last year in terms of offensive execution. And both teams have more offense.
Under 10 to go on the shot clock for the Wings. Harris running to the right side, lets it go from 3, and again, calling up the bank.
I don't know about that. Late shot clock off the glass. You better call it.
Answering on the other end is Blake Dietrich. Patrick, again, tied at 27 all. The last second shot before the end of the first quarter won't fall, but an entertaining one for both Dallas and Atlanta. It was a fun start so far, but the final game of this opening weekend of the WNBA season, Atlanta Dream head coach Kiki Collins says, I'm loving
Taco Bell's new grilled cheese burrito is filled with
Welcome back to Bradenton, Florida, home of IMG Academy. And the Dallas Wings coming back looking good, and that's all powered by Arike Ogunbowale.
Well, it's what we expected. She's played 9 minutes. She's got 8 points. She's 3 for 8 from the floor. She's hit a triple off the glass, but she doesn't need a lot of separation to get into the rhythm of her shot. You could put small and quick on her or long and tall. She's capable of reading the first level, getting by her defense, and being able to create separation with her great footwork and her ball fakes. I love watching her play. I think she is seeking shots, she's aggressive, and that's exactly the mindset that Brian Agler wants her playing with.
We think about Ogunbowale last year, who averaged 19 points, as we already mentioned, and she was running the point guard position, which was not her natural position, but with Mariah Jefferson out, she had to take on those duties. And now we'll see how she settles a little bit more playing off the ball.
It's a really good point, Tiffany, because she didn't play with a natural point guard last year, and this will help her.
So currently, one of the baskets for Dallas is being reviewed. We apologize for some of the technical difficulties here. They're reviewing to see whether one of the shots was a 3 or a 2. They were reviewing that shot there from Arike Ogunbowale earlier. Well, Debbie, this is one of the fun parts of doing the games from home, right? We do not have the benefit of being on site. A lot of things are being done remotely, so we appreciate everyone sticking with us during this time, as you know, this is our new season, if you will, too.
It's definitely interesting, and to be able to call games from home is awesome. I don't know about you, but I made breakfast this morning. We worked out. My guys are completely 100% interested in what's going on up here in this room right now. I love it.
And I love the fact that you had to make a sign saying, look, you know, do not enter on air for, you know, the fellas in your house, your sons.
Yeah, no running, no yelling, no jumping, no bouncing the ball. Don't knock on the door. I forgot to say do not enter because they came in here and wanted to know if they could stream.
Debbie Antonelli in South Carolina. I'm Tiffany Green here with you, not too far away in Tampa, Florida. And this is what we have come to expect as our new normal during this pandemic. And what a finish there by Alicia Gray. Nice rebound, puts it back up, and the N1.
Maybe coming off the bench is going to be beneficial for Dallas. That Alicia Gray goes to Brian Agler after being a starter for 2 years saying, I'm ready to come off the bench. I want to see what the game feels like from the start. And, you know, when you're active and you stay aggressive and move like that on the offensive glass, it's really hard to check you out. And Alicia Gray is known as a hustler.
She also mentioned that, you know, she was proud of the fact coming into training camp that she had slimmed down about 10 pounds, felt like she could move even a little bit better, and that her game was better suited for this offense. In the second year, Brian Agler in the corner was Strickland. Well, this is a three-point fest, several just even it up from long range, and many of them going down.
Especially for Shakina Strickland. Doing a nice job of finding herself open. That time she drifts to the corner on the penetration. And the other three she got was on a broken play, but there's been other teams that have struggled shooting the three in this building so far, not Shakina. Atlanta's 4 for 7 from the three-point line.
Both teams shooting better than 50% from beyond the arc, and that was again an area of focus for Nikki Collin. They put up the second most three-pointers in the league, but only converted 29%, which was the league worst. So Shakina Strickland helps to add to their proficiency from long range. As we take a look at the upcoming WNBA TV schedule, right here on CBS Sports Network, Minnesota and Seattle in action Tuesday. That's a late night affair starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then a doubleheader Wednesday with the Liberty and the Wings, along with Atlanta and the Las Vegas Aces. Aces coming off a heartbreaking season opening loss to Chicago just moments ago. Other games on NBA TV, Washington and Connecticut, the Mystics, the defending national champions. And over on ESPN Thursday, you'll see Seattle and Washington along with the Connecticut Sun and the Aces. For more on these games, please go to NBA.com or visit the WNBA app.
Boy, Elizabeth Williams really working hard to post up and show hands and numbers to the basketball, and that's what you want to do as a low post threat. That's, she's not a player that typically demands a double team, but you've got to be able to handle her one-on-one, and you got to keep her off the glass.
In her 6th season out of Duke, you mentioned one of those 2 returning players from last year. She was 5th in the league in blocks, so a great defensive presence, but she's also gotten on the board with a few points.
Good ball pressure by Dallas, forcing a turnover.
Debbie, I think that was one of the question marks coming in for Brian Agler's team. Was you knew that they could have some offensive explosion and execution, but what was their defensive philosophy going to look like this season?
Well, you know, that's the thing, talking to Brian yesterday, it was all about offense, and if you've known Brian's legacy in this league, it's been about defense first. And he knew he needed to upgrade that side of the ball, and he certainly has. But when you have 2 weeks, you know, he doesn't have a lot of set stuff in. He has a couple of sets in, but he's trying not to call very much. He wants them to play.
Off the mark there as the Wings holding tight to a 2-point lead. Carter coming back the other way for Atlanta. Wildly puts it up.
Yeah, you want to force Kennedy Carter into contested shots. You don't want to let her get a clean look. You can't let her get vision to the rim. You're going to make her work.
And the rejection there by Monique Billings, back the other way, but unable to convert in transition. The Wings steal it away as Kayla Thornton passes it over to Alicia Gray. Gray once again continuing to go hard to the hoop.
Yeah, that looked like a frustration foul by Kennedy Carter. You can't commit that foul. That's a rookie mistake. Alicia Gray, strong to the rim in transition. I mean, Kennedy Carter was sizing her up trying to make that block, and Gray was on a straight line drive to the rim.
A tightly contested ball game in this first quarter, led most of the way by Atlanta, but Dallas has turned the corner, starting to find their rhythm, and knocking down a couple free throws is Gray. 4-point lead for the Wings. 7 points tonight for Gray.
Mariah Jefferson, excuse me, Mariah Jefferson's job is try not to let Kennedy Carter catch the ball back once she gives it up.
Nice dish over, the extra pass. And now Billings spotting up for the jumper, air ball. Here comes Arike Agubawale and the Wings. The hesitation through the lane and misses. Carter, nice flash pass. Billings finishes it off.
What a great lead by Kennedy Carter. Her third assist of the game.
.5:10 remaining in the first half. Dallas on top 38-36. That's because they're finding ways to get out in transition, but the answer on the other end from the Atlanta Dream.
Dallas with an early 1-point lead in the second quarter with 5:10 to play. And one of the new players that Nikki Collin brought to Atlanta is Benaja Laney, who she picked up off waivers from Indiana. And Laney has been doing a nice job of finding shots in transition, being aggressive offensively, working to get open off that offensive rebound, just doing a nice job of staying active. And when you're hungry, like Benaja Laney is, to stick on a roster, you're going to put in the time that you need to put in. And she brings a veteran experience to a young team that's looking to rebuild its offense.
And Debbie, when you think about just her career, she's been pegged as a defensive type of player, but Nikki Collins said, look, that's not what we've seen so far during training camp. And obviously today, with 10 points leading the way for the Dream, she has stepped it up offensively and just hitting those open shots and attacking the rim.
And a change defensively off the timeout. Nikki Collin goes to trap in that ball screen action, and it results in Blake Dietrich picking up a foul. They've been running this sideline out of bounds play with an Iverson cut. This time they go to a different set on the other side of the floor.
Sably, tall pass for Jefferson, shot clock violation for the Wings, and that's a player who's been silent thus far for the Wings, is Satou Sably, the #2 overall draft pick for Dallas.
And so Mariah Jefferson is looking at Brian Agler, and she knows that tomorrow when they watch film that's going to be a really good learning situation for her on tape, that you have to have time and score awareness inside every possession. And so Mariah typically has to either go get that basketball for Brian Agler, or somebody needs to get it to Enrique, because in a late shot clock, I think you would want Enrique taking shots.
So far for Brian Agler today, he's seen Alicia Gray really step things up coming off the bench with 9 points.
I think both teams have played with excellent energy to start. These are two teams that didn't make the playoffs last year, both bottom of the WNBA in offense, and I think they've elevated their talent, and with 2 weeks of training camp, just trying to figure it out. And I was watching Indiana yesterday, Tiffany, and you know, they were really late getting to training camp because of several players testing positive for COVID-19, so therefore they had less than the 2 weeks to get it going. I think Marianne Stanley is going to help them figure it out.
When you look at last year for the Atlanta Dream, talking about scoring and just trying to figure it out, that was one of the things that this group knew that they had to do coming into the bubble, because 3 of their top scorers from a season ago are out. Tiffany Hayes and Renee Montgomery opting out. Brittany Sykes traded away. So where was the offense going to come from, as the Dream averaged 71 points per game, which was last in the league? Just a reminder to our fans that they can cheer on their team from home using the Tap to Cheer app with the WNBA app by tapping on their team's logo to show their support. Make sure you download the WNBA app and start cheering now.
Great way for the fans at home to interact with the broadcast and with the WNBA.com site. You know what Major League Baseball's doing, you know, with the fans in the stands?
You're right, yeah.
Yeah, you know how you can buy a seat and put a cardboard copy of yourself out there? I could see you and me having a cardboard copy in the stands. I would pay for one of those to put myself in the stands at a WNBA game.
Absolutely, and if I was just smart enough to find a way to kind of rig up something where at least for the first 10 minutes it had some artificial sound coming from me of me yelling or cheering on the sideline, I would pay big money for that. I pay big money for that. But you take for granted sometimes the atmosphere that we're in, even as broadcasters. This is new for us, calling it from home, but just having, you know, the PA system pump music, and that's really kind of the only sound you hear outside of, you know, coaches maybe yelling in something or the sneakers from the players. You miss the fan piece of it. I mean, they're the sixth band for a reason.
And this is the other part of being at home and not being at the game, is not being able to communicate with the officials exactly what they're looking at. I assume it's something with the clock.
And we've seen a couple of stoppages already because of clock issues. Our referees, Tim Green, Kurt Walker, Tom Mauer. And we're just being told that there's an issue with team fouls, so they're trying to sort through that right now.
Yeah, so the scorer's table is opposite the benches. Usually the benches and the scorer table are on the same side of the floor. So this is another situation that's somewhat unique. And you see the plexiglass there. So there's one side of the arena. That is where the scorer's table is, and the officials will report, and substitutions have to go across to the other side to get in the game. And then this side is where the benches are.
So just working through some of the newness that's come because of COVID-19 and how the pandemic has affected so much of our everyday lives. You mentioned, Debbie, the plexiglass and making sure that folks are staying safe, following protocols and guidelines, just like it was for players to even enter the bubble, or what we like to call the wubble, as Nikki Collin getting down, just trying to stay loose during this break and play. But they made their way down. And after 4 days of self-isolation and 4 negative tests, and they actually came into self-quarantine on campus, had to have 3 more negative tests, and then they were good to go inside the bubble. And so the issue with one of the fouls is something that they're going to have to sort through perhaps at halftime as gameplay is back.
Look how quickly Atlanta is trying to accelerate through all their action. And it results in 2 feet in the paint for Billings. You got to go up strong with that. You had a defender on your back. Does she have a left hand would be my question, because she pivoted away from it.
Obviously didn't feel comfortable enough to go up with it, and here an opportunity for Dallas to extend their lead. Instead, Billings coming down with the rebound. 3rd season out of UCLA. And how about Elizabeth Williams going up strong?
Now this is what you call running the floor hard and running the floor ahead of the ball. That allows Kennedy Carter just to drop it off for Elizabeth Williams, who is strong around the rim and finishing.
2 team fouls for Dallas.
You hear the officials talking about why we had such the long delay was about team fouls, and they're saying 2 team fouls for Dallas. Elizabeth Williams has always had that little hitch in her free throw since she was since I've seen her as a National Freshman of the Year at Duke.
4-time All-American with the Blue Devils, now in her 6th season in the league. Akubawale whistled for the foul.
defense without fouling obviously is a theme. You know, anything that would take players minutes away would be an issue in the shortened 22 game season for 7 weeks. They're basically, these players are playing every other day.
To that point, Debbie, you just think about how unique of a situation that is. But when we heard from players, they often talked about, you know, being in the bubble and playing on such short rest. They compared it to either like AAU ball or sometimes playing overseas just from an isolation standpoint, kind of keeping to themselves. So this isn't something that they can't draw on in terms of experience from, you know, just their time throughout basketball.
You know, I would say that these are some of the best athletes in the world, and they know how to take care of their body. And given a day rest with some of the resource that they'll have in terms of massage and ice baths and other things that they do to recover, they all know how to eat right, get the proper rest, and we all know how important the product is. And I was really impressed this weekend so far. The product's been outstanding, I think, considering 2 weeks of training camp. Just speaks to how great our game has really become in the 24th year of the WNBA. It's pretty exciting.
We saw some fantastic performances yesterday, especially with Los Angeles Sparks coming out and making a statement, if you will, over the Phoenix Mercury. Washington Mystics also look strong as well. But you know, back to that conversation of, yes, they are in shape and they know how to take care of their body, and they have some of the best training staffs and recovery methods and tools, but they're also not traveling. I mean, when they're done with this game, they're going straight back to their hotel room or their villa. So cutting down on that travel piece is also a nice convenience that they spoke of, as Billings with the fake pump fake, and that one goes in. So Billings is being effective around the rim, and that is a welcome sign for Coach Collins. Back the other way is Izzy Harrison with the bucket. She'll try to complete the traditional three-point play when we come back to Bradenton.
How does the world reopen for business?
Talking about a whole lot of games that are going to be played over the next 45 days. More than 100 to be exact. All 12 WNBA teams. 22 games apiece for those coveted 8 playoff spots. And Debbie and I will be with you along with others along this sprint marathon. This journey, a beautiful journey that is.
This is amazing. I mean, if you're a basketball fan, it's our return to the game. The NBA starts next week. I mean, the WNBA has dominated the weekend schedule, and there's been, every team has played. It's been great. It's been really exciting to watch. There's a lot of developing storylines that will happen very quickly because of the condensed season. You and I are going to break a few of those down at halftime.
I think that's the fun part, Debbie, is the fact that just because it's abbreviated, you know, there was so much conversation with the new CBA and the off-season moves, and then boom, the pandemic hits. But now that we're back to talking basketball, it seems like it just picks right back up in a sense all over again, as Shakina Strickland picking up where she left off when she was last on the floor.
Yeah, Strickland with a stick. 3 triples in the first half.
Veteran out of Tennessee guarding Satu Sabli, the rookie, and the rookie with the left hand. She's a southpaw. She gets her second bucket of the game, just 4 points for Sabli.
Really good call coming off the timeout that Brian Agler would get Satu isolated on the block. Give her a chance to go to work.
A little indecisive there, but